I have stumbled on the plain, staggered in the wind, stood at a crossroad or two, cried to a river, swept to the sea, all just to get to you. I have jumped a yellow cab, hopped a rusty freight, sang till my lips turned blue. On a silver bird, on tops of the clouds, all just to get to you. I ran too hard, I played too rough. I gave my love, not near enough. I bled too red, I cried too blue. I beat my fists against the moon, all to get to you.
And live, it is Saddle Up with Steve and Jay. We are back after a month. Welcome back to the show, Steve Pollack. Good morning.
Good morning, Jay. Been a crazy holiday for me. I'm doing a lot of celebrating and but ready to get back to it. It's very unusual, obviously, with Santa Anita with the delays. And we'll start right there, Jay. We've had a lot of weather up in LA area, and I tell you, in San Diego, we have not been hit near as hard as I thought. And if you're down here in San Diego with me, we really need to see what's going on with that turf course because they had a lot of rain there. Even yesterday, last night, I was on the phone with a gentleman that lives right near there, and he was a little bit concerned that course might be listed as good, at least for the first few turf races. We'll see if the sun can come out and dry it up. I think the main track will be fine. That main track dries up very, very fast, and we're not expecting to have any rain tomorrow, so should be the main track should be fine. Maybe the turf course will be listed as good.
Yeah, yeah. Before we go on, I do want to ask you about that, but yeah, I just wanted to mention the opening clip. We don't normally do that. That is the late great Joe Ely. Joe passed this week. I first saw Joe back in around 1979, 1980. I went to Cal State Long Beach, as some of you know, and Joe headlined our banjo, fiddle, and guitar festival there. It was a great set. The second act was Brian Berline, and he had a lead guitarist that was unknown at the time, but that man was Vince Gill, who now plays with the Eagles. So there were a lot of talent that came out of that. I've seen Joe many times. I'm a regular goer up north to the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival, and I've seen Joe there and with his band, the Flatlanders, as well. So sad loss, but what a great career. If you don't know Joe Ely, that's Ely. It's not Eli, it's Ely. Google him on YouTube when you get a chance. You'll see some really great stuff if you like that clip. So, Steve, yeah, we obviously we had some changes this week. As people know, opening day was traditionally scheduled for the day after Christmas, and this week it didn't happen. Obviously, we had some bad rain, and it was really only one really bad day of rain. But one of the reasons that they will tend to do this is we've become pretty turf dependent. And in the old days, it would be easy enough. I don't think the rain was bad enough that you would have had to kill the whole card back up, when we were growing up. But now, because we're so turf dependent and you really can't run on that turf course when, you've got this kind of rain, it just doesn't dry out as fast as the dirt course. Basically, if you, tried to move all those races to dirt, I mean, you'd have 4 and 5 horse fields because the trainers are just not going to run. So, things have really changed. Obviously, we had some cancellations down your way at Del Mar as well this summer, or back in November, which is relatively rare. But these days, the turf races are all or nothing.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jay, for sure. I'm hoping that we'll be okay for tomorrow, and we don't get a lot of scratches. And because we really got a beautiful card, and you and I are going to go through it. We're going to go through the Malibu horse by horse, and we're each going to talk about an individual race. And it should really be some very, very good betting for those of you who are like me. I wasn't planning on taking as much time off as I have, but I sure have, and feel fresh and ready to go, Jay.
All right, Steve. Yeah, so I want to get into what you touched on in the beginning here, because obviously We don't get a lot of rain in Southern California. That storm we had in November that set Del Mar back, that was a real rarity. Now we're kind of getting into the season where we see a little more rain. And I think you're absolutely right. I think the dirt course by the end of today will already be in a fast state. But right now, the turf course, after all the rain we've had, if they were running it today, it might be yielding at this point, and I think it's going to dry sooner than that. But yeah, I do think that it's going to be good to probably open tomorrow. If it's firm, great, but expecting good. So, how does that affect the way the races are run, the racing styles in terms of early speed versus closers, where they set the rails when you've got rain to deal with? How does that all affect the racing on the turf course? Post a big rainstorm like this.
Well, I think that's a very good question, Jay. And I think in the long run, we see this at Santa Anita. We see at least 3, 4 times a year where we've had rain, and then we get these races back on the turf. What I have noticed over the years is that there are days where you might see speed dominate, or there are days where you might see closers win every race. But I think in the long run, one thing I can tell the fans to really look for is those horses that have run well on off-turf courses before, whether they have maybe European form back in their form. If you could find races on good turf or on yielding turf that horses have run on before, I think that form will stand up, and because it is very different. I mean, a lot of the times they're spinning the wheels. A lot of times the times are 2 or 3 seconds slower, and it might bring some different players into the game that would not have had a chance on that firm turf course that we normally get. So I think looking back and trying to figure out if a horse has run on that kind of surface before is the one thing that you can do. If you see after a few races, hey, every single one of these races is being won wire to wire, or every single one by a deep closer, I mean, I would ask yourself if they were won because you're not getting a huge sample. Where's there a big speed duel in each of these races? Did the race always set up for the closers? Is that why it's that way? Or truly does it just look like these horses are getting an easy lead and giving it up? So those are things that you can ask yourself, but I would really look more for horses that have handled that individually, and I think you'll have better success trying to focus in on that instead of trying to look for a big bias, as I just don't think you get that much of it on the turf course.
Yeah. And Steve, I think this is going to be a rainier winter than usual, either the El Nino or La Nina pattern. I can never keep them straight, but it's one of those two. And I think we're going to see more of it. And one thing I'm going to mention in brief, we don't have to go into it in detail today, but Santa Anita now has 3 courses certified for racing. The training track, which is a Tapeta course, has now also been certified for racing as well as for training. And I know they don't plan to use it very much for that, but I can see it happening in certain days. And I'll give you an example. The Big Cap coming up is probably right in the middle of rainy season. And that's a race, of course, where it's predominantly dirt races, the Big Cap, and then there's 1 or 2 others. Is it the San Antonio that day? I can't remember, but because they've moved them around. But there's also usually on big days like that, at least a couple of graded stakes on the turf. And if the turf course is unusable, rather than canceling the whole card again, I could see some of those turf races finally going on that Tapeta course. Do not be surprised if it happens this winter. And if it does, we'll talk about Tapeta in a following show, because Southern California, that's the one surface that Southern California racing fans locally have never seen. It was, of course, the surface up at Golden Gate Park for the last several years. But we've had Poly Track, we've had Cushion Track, we've had Pro Ride. We've never seen Tapeta racing down here. So we will talk about that when it becomes a factor, but it could be interesting.
Well, that could be interesting, Jay. I don't think anybody really knows officially for sure what's going to happen there. But when you have changes like that, I kind of put myself in race mode that I want to be the first one to figure that out. Do I see anything different on that surface? And that's the kind of attitude that I would tell the fans to go into when we get that, because I think it's going to happen, Jay. I think that they are going to be running on that surface. I think you make a good point there, and the first one to figure it out. You could have an advantage that maybe, halfway through the meet, more people will figure out and get on the bandwagon. But if you can figure it out first, you can have an edge.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, especially if you've got horses that ran at the Golden Gate meet, because it wasn't that long ago, it was only a year ago. So horses that had success over that Tapeta track will probably have an edge over this one. But talking about different tracks, I kind of wanted to start out by going over the jockey colonies around the country because there have been some changes. Basically what would happen is, Southern California jocks were essentially kind of in a colony by their own, and they generally rode here year round. And then Flavian Pratt just decided, the purse opportunities were too good in New York, and so what he would do is he would split his season. Flavian would ride in New York. He'd leave town like right after the March window or so. Sometimes he'd already be in New York, but he would come back for the Santa Anita Derby because he'd usually have a big mount in that. But then he'd spend the whole summer and fall in New York. And now, so things have changed a little bit. So Flavian this year is he's not going to Gulfstream or Santa Anita. He's actually staying in New York. It's one of these winters where he's got some young kids and he wants to spend some time with them. He just kind of evaluated that between flying back and forth a lot. He wasn't really making a lot more money because he'd be missing days here and there with the plane flights. So Flavian will be, he's the best turf rider in the country, but he's going to be riding primarily in a meet where there is no turf racing. So it's all on, the Aqueduct track, and this will be the last year for the Aqueduct track because Belmont's almost ready, and I think by fall you're going to see Belmont, reopen with its grand new track that's been 3 years in the making. But this winter, Flavian, I know he's going to do a couple of occasional dates here and there. He's going to be here Sunday, but he's not going to be here for the whole winter meet. He's only going to pick his spots here and there. Will be primarily in New York. So as compensation, somebody, when there's a vacuum, nature wants to fill a vacuum. And a jock I've talked about on Jason's radio show for a long time, Emisel Jaramillo. I'm actually acquainted with the connections that sponsored him when he came over here for the first time. And Jaramillo, just to know, is he's going to basically try to fill that vacuum that Flavian Pratt is leaving behind. He is a really, really good front running jock. He's not quite up to Juan Hernandez. He's probably a notch below that. But compared to the other front running guy that we think of a lot, Edwin Maldonado, Jaramillo is a big upgrade over Edwin Maldonado. And the main difference is all three of those guys can break their horses out of the gate tremendously. But Maldonado is probably the weakest finisher, and Juan Hernandez is clearly the strongest finisher, but Jaramillo will be somewhere in between. He'll be a big factor on front runners, and as Jason mentioned to us, also especially on the turf as well. He's a really good turf rider. Steve, you've probably had a chance to look at Jaramillo over the years. You looking forward to seeing him?
I have, yeah. I mean, I like these jockeys when they make a change, and you see a lot of the same tendencies when they go, when they ride at a certain circuit and then they come here. I think it'll certainly be very interesting. I don't know that he's quite as aggressive as Edwin is, but I'd never really thought of it that way. And maybe watching him more closely on this circuit, I will notice that to be true. But it'll be very, very interesting to see what he does here, and I'll certainly be keeping an eye on him. I mean, speed is very, very good on the main track here, as well as the turf course. So when you have a rider that's exceptional at something, as you think here with him, I think it's going to be very worthwhile watching Jaramillo.
Absolutely. So yeah, we've really seen some different trends in jocks this year. What usually happens with the New York circuit is all the big guys ride through Saratoga and through the fall meet at Belmont or Aqueduct, and then they shift their tack down to Gulfstream. That's been sort of the pattern for all these years. And but last year, Jose Ortiz made a change. He went down to Fairgrounds and he cleaned house. He just dominated that circuit, 30% wins, and he was winning all the stakes. And Jose Ortiz is down there as well. And this year, Steve, he's joined by a jock we know very well, Paco Lopez. And there's a little more of a backstory behind that. Louisiana, like Texas, both of those circuits don't subscribe to the HISA regulations, which are designed to help horses, stay sound, and they put a lot more regulations into them. So what's happened in the past is Fairgrounds has been sort of this place where like rebel riders that can't get licensed elsewhere. You remember Pat Valenzuela, who was suspended, in Southern California, and then it was reciprocated around the country, but he could ride down there. Well, Paco is joining Jose because, first of all, he automatically becomes the second best jock down there to Jose. So there's a lot more winnings there than he would other tracks. But really, that's the only place he can ride. He's under a 6-month suspension. So we'll see what happens with Paco, and we'll see when that suspension's up if he's welcomed back around the country, or if they're going to say, no, you were riding during your suspension. It's still in effect till you serve the 6 months. That's going to be very interesting.
Absolutely. Paco, I don't know if he's second to Jose. Not in my book. He's not second to anybody. When he rode against Irad, he went heads up with him and with worse horses and for long, long meet 2 years ago. And I thought he rode better than Irad, which when you're riding better than Irad, I mean, Irad has been the best jockey the last 7 or 8 years, even better than Flavien Prat in my mind. And Paco's extremely competitive with anybody. So to see him down there and not surprising, he was getting mounts right from the very get-go. I did play actually the first 2 or 3 days at the fairgrounds. Was concentrating down there. But he was fitting right in and riding very well.
Yeah, it'll be quite a showdown, Steve. We'll really see. They're going to be able to, run for the money, and those two are going to dominate getting the best mounts because whether you think Paco is better, whether you think Jose is better, the two of them are heads and shoulders above the rest of the regular riders down there. So we'll get to see who's boss and who gets to prove it. So the Gulfstream colony is going to be a little thinner this year. And Arad, of course, will be based down there as he always is. And you'll also have Johnny Velasquez down there. You'll have Javier Castellano and Tyler Gafflione, who often rides in the Midwest, will be riding down there as well. Tyler has ridden in places like the fairgrounds and Oaklawn for many years. So I think Arad's going to have an easier time against a more depleted field. But they just decided some of these places with the big money is just it's hard to resist. For instance, like I said, a lot of these riders stayed in New York for the fall, but what probably a lot of our fans noticed is, a lot of them rode in the Churchill Down meet in the fall, which was never that big a meet. I mean, their big meet, obviously, it's like Del Mar. Their big meet's the summer meet with the Kentucky Derby, and the fall meet's kind of like, who cares? But now with all the casino money that you've got at places like Keeneland, like Oaklawn, like Churchill Downs, you had guys like Arad Ortiz and Jose Ortiz and Tyler Gafflione. All the best riders were at Churchill this fall. So it's really changed as far as the landscape of where the top guys are going.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah,
I think it's
and
very important. Keeping your eye on it, keeping an eye on where everybody is and how they're riding the track. Because these guys have to be monitored all the time. I mean, it's a little bit of an extra thing that you can do. You can't always assume that they're all hot and they're all understanding where the track is. What if there's any sort of a track bias or how to ride this particular surface. And keeping track of that is I think is very important.
Yeah. And just wanted to mention Luis Saez and Joel Rosario, two anywhere from top 5 to top 10 riders in the country. Let's call them top 8. But they'll both be based primarily at Oaklawn this winter. That's a first for Luis, and Joel's been down there before. And interestingly enough, Oaklawn will be closing for 3 weeks for like a winter break during the worst snow part of the season. Those guys will go around. We've already seen Saez take some outs at fairgrounds. But those are two riders to watch there in addition to the traditional riders do well. Christian Torres is the defending champion down there, and he really knows that Oaklawn strip. So we'll see how he does against some of these higher end riders that are coming in trying to take advantage of those big Oaklawn purses because they got casino money too.
Yes, they do. They do. They've got some nice purses down there. I know a lot of my friends that have horses at Santa Anita have horses, unfortunately, have horses that are there and they come back for Del Mar. But all their horses are back there at Oaklawn now. They kept a few out here this year, which was nice to see. But for the most part, we're really missing a lot of horses out to Oaklawn because those purses are just terrific back there.
Yeah. So, Steve, things have changed a little bit here. We are back to non-Del Mar betting strategies here because the dollar amounts have cranked up, and I know this is something you're a fan of because the pools are bigger and it's more opportunity for larger bettors to jump in and get a bigger share. But now we're back to dollar pick threes, dollar trifectas. So, how does that change the betting strategy for you? What will we be doing differently here that you didn't do at Del Mar?
It's a good question, Jay. You know, I like the betting at Santa Anita better than Del Mar now. This is the last year at Del Mar was very discouraging. I think it's more scrutinized racetrack than maybe even Saratoga. For some reason or another, everybody wants to catch a ticket at Del Mar, and the last year was really amazing how many days I went where it was just like every single horse that I really liked was absolutely hammered and hammered late. I think there's less scrutiny at Santa Anita. I think you'll get better prices. Obviously with me, any of the larger amounts on pick threes, I really like that all turf pick three that they have at the end. I think that's terrific. The last three races and anything that they can do for more money, like the $5 late double or the $3 late pick three or the $3 late turf pick three, to me are all very good bets. If you have a little bit bigger bankroll, you will get paid catching those, especially if you get your price anywhere in those. But I just think the extra dollar amount is a better thing for players that want to play with a little bit more money, because the lower players, the lesser players, and they're not necessarily worse players, they're just betting less. Just because it's someone who's betting less, there's a lot of people that bet less money that are better handicappers and do better than people that bet more money. But that being said, if you are a better player that bets a little bit more money, I like the bigger dollar amounts for sure, and you will see those at Santa Anita. And that lower takeout on the late pick three, very, very good, makes that a really, really solid bet. And then that all turf late pick three, I think those two bets are really, really good bets.
Yeah, and speaking about good bets, Santa Anita instituted a new bet that I don't think we ever talked about at the fall meet. But it was running there, and we do these podcasts every few weeks, so it never came up. I'm going to bring it up today. There is now a bet that most of our fans have probably heard of, but I don't know how many have really joined in and played it, called the Sunset Six. And the Sunset Six, for those who don't know, is on the weekends. It's the last three races at Gulfstream and the last three races at Santa Anita. So typically, I mean, those are your bread and butter races. Your big turf races, your big stakes races are generally grouped more toward the end of the card. Tomorrow, not so much at Gulfstream. I mean, you got three claimers. Oh well. But you do have three big stakes at Santa Anita. Steve, this is a dollar wager. It's a 15% low takeout. And it's also a wager that has one very, very important factor. It is for retail customers only. So it's not for the big computer guys, it's for us, the common man. So, Steve, is this something I'm sure you looked at that over the fall? I don't know if you jumped into any of the pools, but is this something you're looking at to play more this winter?
Probably not, Jay, because I don't think what I like to do is I like to pick off a few races at Gulfstream and not sequence them together unless I'm doing a tournament and a qualifier, and I'm already qualified for the NHC, so I'm not looking to get another spot. So I don't think I'm going to do any more qualifiers. I'm going to be concentrating more on individual races. But if it's something that you're playing, I'd certainly look at it every day, especially with a lower takeout. But I think I'm going to be concentrating more on the actual Santa Anita pick six, and then trying to pick races off from Tampa, Oaklawn. I'm going to include in the mix, and I'm going to actually include Turfway too, as I had a really good year there at Turfway, and I've already started watching some of the races there as well.
All right. Well, Steve, I think we have some races to talk about, but before we do, is there a sponsor we want to mention today?
Yeah, I just want to thank all the people at Casino House Parties. I know I've been helping them out lately. Casino House Parties, casinohouseparties.com. Check out the website. Use the code SaddleUp50. You'll get $50 off of your next party, but they bring professional blackjack tables and dealers, craps tables, poker, pie gow even. I mean, you can get about anything you want that's in a casino, and they'll bring it right to your house. So casinohouseparties.com, check it out, and you can get $50 off of your first party using the code SaddleUp50. And again, we really want to thank those people there. They've been great to us, and we appreciate it. And I did a few gigs for them, Jay, the last few weeks. So looking forward to getting back to normal work with Santa Anita kicking off here in a couple days.
All right. And how'd you do?
How did I do at the casino?
Yeah.
I did fine. I had no chance of losing. I'm just a crap dealer and do craps and blackjack and poker. Yeah, it was fine. I have fun.
Yeah.
Little fun helping them out, and they've got a great little company there. And a couple times I had to set up, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. Come on, you guys have this stuff set up for me. I complained a little bit. I'm not into moving the crap tables and blackjack tables from a van into there. I just want to show up, deal, talk to people like I like to, and had some fun. So
Yeah.
those
We
parties are a lot of fun. I tell you what, I have fun at each one of them, and I do a few of them for them, and just always have a good people always have a good time at those.
yeah. Well, we got to get you a staff, Steve. That's what I'm saying. But let's talk a little racing now that we've
Yes, sir.
segued into this. First, I'm going to talk about a race that we're not going to actually cover today, but we're going to cover the horse that was going to be the headline marquee horse in it, and that's the Mr. Prospector down at Gulfstream Park. That was their feature race today. It's a Grade 3, but White Abarrio, the key horse, has not, is not going to run in it. Basically, they've decided he is coming back. He is going to be 7 years old next year. How often do you see that in not a gelding, but a full-fledged horse that is eligible for breeding? And I can see why they're keeping in training. I mean, for most horses, we just, as usual, we lost a number of horses in their prime to the stud shed, and those include horses like Fierceness, horses like Sierra Leone. They at least they ran through their 4-year-old year. Sometimes you don't even get that, but they've basically paid their dues. Now with White Barrio, he's 7 and he's still going. He was supposed to run in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, and Irad was feeling something at the gate. He was like, "Hey, stewards, come on, doctor, come take a look at this guy." And they thought, yeah, there was something a little off. That was probably one of the instances where you and I decried a lot of these scratches that where the vets were a little over aggressive. But in this case, when Irad is saying, "Hey, I'm not so sure," this probably made sense. But apparently, he's come back fine. It's just their main goal is the Pegasus, where he is the defending champ. So, they want to give White Barrio his best shot, and they think, it's better for him to train up to the race because he can come off the shelf and run. But, Steve, what do you think about White Barrio's chances this year? It's been, other than that Pegasus race, I mean, the last Grade 1 that he won was the Breeders' Cup Classic back in 2023. Do you think he can still deal with the top guys anymore?
Just won it last year, and I thought he was a huge contender in that Breeders' Cup Mile before he scratched. It's some vindication for the stewards there. I didn't realize that you said, and I don't know if you read this somewhere. I didn't hear anything about Irad saying the horse felt off. I thought it was a vet scratch, and they were upset about it. That's what I thought. But I'm questioning what I possibly heard there. But certainly if this horse is if he's right, he's really, really talented. And heck, I love seeing these horses keep running. I mean, that's what it's all about. I've long passed the days of wanting these horses to go to the breeding shed. And when you lose horses like Fierceness and like Sierra Leone, it's just rough. And because we want to see these horses, these marquee names that we know. And so seeing White Abarrio run again is I think a cool thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see why they'd make an exception for this guy because he's probably not the biggest stud candidate. He didn't cost that much at the breeding shed. He's out of race day. Race day is a son of Tappet, and on the bottom side, the grandsire's into mischief. So he's got some decent breeding. A couple of one generation back, but neither the sire nor the dam did very much on the track. So I think they're thinking this is the rare exception where we can make more money racing than we can at breeding, because I think his stud fee, race day stud fee is like 7,500. So I'm thinking you might get $10,000 stud fee for White Barrio, probably not much more. So it really makes sense to take one more shot at the big races.
That's surprising that he would only be that because I mean he is a Breeders' Cup Classic winner and he won the Pegasus as well. I mean he's got a pretty darn good track record.
I could be proven wrong.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll be
well,
15 or 20, but I'm
maybe
thinking
you're right. Maybe
yeah,
that's why they're still running. But I'm glad they're still running. I'm not going to question that.
yeah. So let's talk about his main rival today. We're going to go to an actual race and talk about this. We're going to go to race six, the Grade 2 Laffit Pincay, and I'm very happy to report that Bob Baffert's stable star Nysos is coming back for his 5-year-old year. Unfortunately, Nysos had an injury-plagued campaign in 2024 or in 2025, but when he was healthy, he was lights out. He's still a neck away from an undefeated career, but he's yet to go over a mile and a 16th, which is what he'll go again today. And you've got to think that this is an example, unlike, say, Fierceness and Sierra Leone, who had already proven themselves many times at a mile and a quarter. You still don't know if Nysos can get that distance. So I think it made a lot of sense. How does Nysos look to you today in the Lafitte Pink High, Steve?
Well, I mean, obviously he's a short price and he's a very, very talented horse. But I will say this, and again, I don't know if I have a horse in there that I really like, but when a horse runs as hard as he did, and he ran unbelievably hard, that is a hard race. And he was able to get up in one of the last few jumps. I didn't see it ever be ahead. It looked like a pretty short nose to me, but they do have it listed as ahead in the racing forum with that race against Citizen Bull. But to me, he ran so hard in that race that is a potential bounce. The number wasn't really any faster. It was his normal race. Is there anybody I like in here? I guess would be the question. Is there anybody that I like in here that I thought could possibly beat him? And I really didn't love anybody. I don't know really why British Isles is 30-1 after his big effort to Nevada Beach. That seems like a ridiculous price, but he looks like a little bit of a bouncer too. I really didn't come up with anybody that I like, but I will tell you, I wouldn't be taking 1-5 or 1-9 on Nysos tomorrow, just because he ran so hard in that Breeders' Cup mile. He's coming back pretty quickly. I don't love him tomorrow, and they're at a short price. I'll probably be taking that race off myself.
Yeah. I would say the horse you mentioned, British Isles. I think if you're going to play that, British Isles makes a lot of sense as a trifecta key. And it's not without a chance that he could win the race. Nevada Beach is obviously the second choice. I don't know if the Thorograph numbers and the more sophisticated numbers have them comparison wise, but on the brisk scale, Nevada Beach is there with them. But at the same time, you have to say if Nevada Beach is in a league with Nysos, he's only half a length over British Isles. So is Nevada Beach really someone you can compare, or not so much?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the race that they ran last time was very, very good, both of those horses. And I could see either one of those horses being contenders, and one of them is 30-1 in here. Now, British Isles does look like a bouncer to me. I mean, he's got kind of one race out of nowhere, but at the same time, he just might be talented enough, bouncer and all, at that big price at 30-1. I would, possibly take a little bit of a look. But I was just really, my big focus in the race was, don't just make Nysos a free bingo square. He may be, but a horse like that could easily go 1-5, 1-9. And he just ran so hard. He's had some physical problems to run that big a race. I think there's somewhere around a 20-25% chance that he maybe doesn't run his good race tomorrow. And if that's the case, that opens the door perhaps for somebody else.
Yeah. Steve, there's a bunch of stakes on the card here. I'm going to focus on the last one before we do our horse to horse. I will just mention briefly, as far as the grade one La Brea, it looks like a pretty wide open race. The two favorites here are Formula Rossa from the Mark Glatt barn. Mark is always dangerous. He's just been on a 5-year tear, and this one has 2 wins and a decent second in a grade three. And we'll take on the shipper from Gulfstream Park, 5G, sent out here by George Weaver. Hasn't run in a while, but George is 22% off the layoff. And Arad Ortiz gets this one. This is one of the main reasons Arad decided to come out here for this. And pass up all his Gulfstream marks. And there's a lot of good stakes races here, and the Gulfstream card isn't that great tomorrow. So, but yeah, this should be an interesting race indeed. And I would say don't settle for too short a price. I just named the two favorites, but I think there's a lot of chances in here.
Yeah, I agree with you. There is a lot of chances in here. I mean, there's some horses that have really run some nice races. Richard Mandela has this horse Magnificent, who I thought really ran all the way to the wire. It looked like he'd been in a speed duel and was going to get beaten. And he's 20-1 in the morning line. And Richard Mandela did it last year with a 20-1 in this race. So we know that's not impossible. 5G is coming off a long layoff, but that is the kind of layoff that I like a little bit. This horse is almost 4. Obviously, they're all having a birthday on the 1st of January, but this is the classic that our old late friend Alan Benowitz talked about. First time 4-year-old with a horse like 5G, where you've seen a horse that has not run since March and was already competitive numbers wise. Those horses do tend to come back, and they come back fit. Look at the work pattern, see if that's steady. But 5G is a horse that caught my eye early in her 3-year-old career, and now she's coming back as a 4-year-old off of a pretty lengthy looking layoff. But again, I think the timing for this layoff is better, and the fact that this horse is the age that she is, I think she's going to run a good race
Yeah,
tomorrow.
I'm liking what I see as well, but definitely will not be anywhere. There's no single on this one for me.
No,
So
there's not. I agree with you. I mean, I already was thinking, how can Mandela be 20-1 with this horse? And
yeah.
Baffert's got a couple in here. This race is definitely a race that's very open.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, before we get into our horse by horse, which will be the Malibu. Let's look at the Grade One American Oaks. This race was actually launched at Hollywood Park, and I think it was part of the Hollywood Park Turf Festival at one point. It didn't make it into the Del Mar Turf Festival because this one, a lot of those Hollywood Park races, like the Hollywood Turf Cup and the Hollywood Derby, became part of the Del Mar Turf Festival because they inherited Hollywood Park's Turf Festival. But the American Oaks did not, for whatever reason. Santa Anita inherited this one, and it's one of the few Grade One races on the turf for fillies, for 3-year-old fillies in the country. There's not that many of them. And so this was designed to be, sort of the equivalent of things like the French Oaks and so forth, and the Oaks at Ascot Park in England, and these different races. This was intended to be our equivalent, and was intended to be, the top race for 3-year-olds in the country. So we'll look at the field today. It is a Grade One race, and the big favorite here is a shipper from England, and that's number 10, Atsilla, from Richard Baltus. And this one has obviously been running in a lot of great Group One competition, and has not been quite up to that competition. Lost to Lake Victoria, great horse that came over for the Breeders' Cup. The last 3, Fallen Angel, who's one of the top fillies in Europe, has just kind of handed this one her lunch. Though I will say the one 2 back, the Justify Matra, named after our great horse Justify over here, kind of interesting and English race. That finished a mile and a quarter, a length and a quarter behind Fallen Angel. So with that kind of credential, and behind Cinderella's Dream, another top horse from our friend Charlie Appleby. So this one's been, butting horns with the best, hasn't been able to beat the best, but might have a class edge over this field. Steve, what do you think?
It's not a very classy field, Jay. I'm not surprised that this morning line odds maker has made this horse the 5-2 favorite, because if you look at this field, this is really the only horse that's really running grade ones, and the grade twos and threes that a lot of these come out of were not really very fast or very good races, in my opinion. I think this is a pretty light field. I was looking at a horse named Cliffs, who's a lot slower on the sheets, the three horse, but this is a horse that's had some very slow paces to run at. And you're going to get Jose, and you're going to be able to save some ground. I think that horse will outrun her odds tomorrow. And she was the one I don't know that I've made a final decision. There is some speed in this race. I could certainly see this favorite winning, but to me, this favorite is not a standout. And again, I think when you look at a race like this, realize where they're at. This is a race of yes, it's grade one, but really only grade one by number. To me, this is far less than that. Competition wise, to me, these are barely grade three horses running in a grade one. So maybe that horse coming out of the grade ones, will be tough. I will probably try to beat her. And again, I was looking at a horse like Cliffs, who just broke a non-winners of one, and again is slower on sheets. Is very good on tape. And this horse has not had much pace to chase. In fact, in her 6 furlong race at Saratoga, they went 116 for the 6 furlongs, and she was almost able to make up all the ground. Had a little bit of trouble, no doubt, when they go that slow. Lots of horses have trouble, but her last 2 races, she's really shown some good kick. I think Ortiz will get her the right trip to get Jose and Sherry DeVoe. So I thought that horse maybe had a little bit of an upset look. And again, a huge jump in class if you're just looking at the fact that, hey, this is a grade one and this horse just won a non-winners of one. But I really thought that this was a more of a grade 3 high level allowance race, because there certainly weren't any grade 1 or grade 2 standouts in this one, Jay.
Yeah, no question. As you know, Steve, I generally favor the East Coast horses coming here. I think essentially the class race is like a notch up. So that allowance race that this one just won, that's $127,000 purse. And I think that's pretty close in class to a comparable grade 3 out here. I mean, this is a grade 1. The purse is 300,000. Our grade 3 purses these days are about 150. So the purse of that race in New York isn't that much less. So yeah, I think Cliffs, you can definitely make a credible case for it. My eye was drawn to Will Then from a trainer I respect a lot, Jonathan Thomas, and he gets Flavian Pratt for this. And one of the main reasons why this drew me is it seems like when Flavian does come out here, which is rare these days, and Baltus has a horse in the race, Baltus and Flavian worked together for years before Baltus's suspension, and now he's come back, and he's back in everybody's good graces. But Baltus is going with Tiago Pereira on Atzilla, and Flavian, who he rides a lot, is on Will Then. So this is another horse that's campaigned a lot on the East Coast as well, at Woodbine, at Churchill Downs, and I'm taking a strong look at Will Then, who comes off, I think, a solid effort at Del Mar, and he won his only race here at Santa Anita. So obviously, Will Then likes the course.
Now, remember that Will Them was on a 3-turn race last time and is cutting back now to just a mile and a quarter. And this is not really a true mile and a quarter to me, because they kind of gallop down that hill. They start on the hill, starts in an unusual spot. Pratt being on an inside post will obviously save some ground in here. But I tell you the truth, Jay, I didn't really love either one of his races at Del Mar. And I think that Velocity win, that horse was a big price in there. Lush Lips has come back to do well. Haven't seen Thought Process show up in a race since then. She was disappointed as a favorite. And a lot of the horses have come out of that race and not been all that great. And then this one also has had 2 starts since then. So I don't know. I thought she was a little bit vulnerable too. So it's a very open race. And again, obviously both of those horses should be able to save some ground. There is some speed in here to chase. And I think both the 2 and the 3 will certainly get good trips, and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, both of these grade ones, what I like about them both, obviously you have full deep fields, and they're both competitive, both the La Brea and the American Oaks. So they're both races where you can find a price. Hopefully, we'll find some prices for you on our full cards, which returned. Mine's already posted. Steve's will be up shortly. And basically, we're going to do our best to come up with, some chances for you. And as always, you can find our picks at www.racingjason.com. $25 for the full cards and $15 for the four race best bet cards. So, Steve, it's that time. It's time for our most popular feature on the podcast, and that is the race by race analysis of one of the big races. And we are going to go for what I consider the marquee race of this card. I know there's three grade ones, but I've always considered it personally Malibu Day, even though nothing to take away from the other races. The Malibu is the one I really look forward to on this day after Christmas, which in this case will be 3 days after Christmas. So, Steve, let's look at this. It's race 10 on the card for those that are following along. And I'm going to kick this off because one of the horses that you've picked in the past is in the four post. So I'm going to let you tell us more what you thought of that one's chances today. And I'll look at number one here, Modus Bestia. This is we were talking about Flavian Pratt and horses that he didn't ride. Well, this is a horse that Flavian didn't ride. We'll talk about Flavian's choice later on in the race. But this one broke his maiden at Del Mar with a big figure, 103, triple digit bris figure. Went wire to wire then, and then came right back at Del Mar and ran almost as good against winners for the first time against $50,000 optional claimers. 96 speed figure there. The races at Santa Anita obviously have not been as good. Those were much earlier in his career. The question is, does he like Del Mar that much more? Or does he just, did he just mature and get better? I'm thinking Modus Bestia is a superfecta chance at the best in a field like this. What do you think?
That's a tough draw for him. He's a very fast horse, and speed's done very, very well in this race. 7 furlong races last year, only had 11 the whole meet, Jay. I found that very interesting. We just don't seem to run 7 furlong races and a mile and a 16th races. There was only 12 races running a mile and a 16th. And obviously we have a lot more routes than that. There were over 100 running a mile. So with 11 races, 3 wire to wire, 6 from horses within 2 lengths after that first pace call. So 9 out of 11 and no deep closers. There were 2 closers between 3 and 5 lengths behind. So really is advantageous to have tactical speed and be a speed horse like Modus Bestia is. He's certainly getting good here. I don't like the draw for a speed horse like this. And I think there's a couple others that are really going to have to go fast. So I'm going to try to beat him. Modus Bestia is a pass for me, as is the horse shipping from Zia Park, Spaniard. I'm going to pass with this one as well. Just going to, I like the cutback in here. I think that's a good thing. I don't necessarily like where he's going to be down on the inside, although this isn't really a huge inside-outside track. I find the inside to be okay at this track. I think Del Mar is one to keep more of an eye on. In fact, I glanced through all the days last year, and I had very few days, Mark, where I thought there was any sort of an outside bias. You want to be in contention by the time you hit the stretch. You don't want to be trying to make up 4 or 5 lengths on this racetrack either. You want to be in contention, and I think that's the case with most of the dirt tracks across the country. But in this track in particular, if you can get your horse moving by the time they hit the turn, that's where you want to be. You want to be in contention by then, not trying to make up 3 or 4 lengths in the stretch. Just doesn't happen much here.
Yeah. As far as Spinard goes, is running 3 of those Southwest Derbies, the Sunland Derby, which has actually been a pretty good race in the past. That was won by a Baffert getaway car this year, and then but got clobbered in that. Got clobbered in the Turf Paradise Derby. Got clobbered in the Zia Park Derby. And if you can't really make up ground against horses like this, what's he doing in a Grade One? I guess Turf Paradise isn't running right now. Dan McFarland, what the heck? Maybe I can get up for 5th and get a check. But this guy may be the worst horse in the race. I would be surprised. Anything above dead last would be a surprise to me on this one.
Triple clobbered. I've never heard that from you before, Jay. That is a great angle. Triple clob. This horse got clobbered triple.
Yeah. So let's look at number three, Manicat Road. Arad Ortiz, obviously, this was one of the horses he came out to ride along with 5G for Bob Baffert. And Arad has ridden him a couple of times before, a couple of good seconds. This one also ran the Florida Derby and finished fourth behind Tapan Street, who I think came back this week. I have to take a look and see how Tapan Street did.
He did
Uh,
come back. I didn't see it either. He did come back.
Yeah, but yeah, obviously I've had my mind onto Pantry. I'm gonna Google that while you're giving out your next pick, and I will I will report how Tapan Street did because I've been behind that horse for a long time. And you remember that was the horse that beat Sovereignty before Sovereignty became a superstar. Real sorry to lose Sovereignty after only a 3-year-old year. Jeez. But anyway, Manicat Road has always had the talent to be right there with the best. He's never actually beaten the best, but you can also make a case that there's no horses like Tapan Street or Sovereignty or Patch Adams who beat him twice in this race. And those were some of the top 3-year-olds in the country last year. Patch Adams is a great sprinter for those that weren't following him.
Sure was.
Yeah, so yeah, I think Manicat Road, this 7 furlong fits him to the T. His numbers are not as good as his stablemate, who we'll be talking about later on. But in terms of just the class and quality of the runner, I think Manicat Road's right there, and I think at 5-1, he's got an upset shot.
Yeah, I like everything that you said there, Jay. Patch Adams was the sharpest horse. I think at Saratoga, he was the best sprinter there, and it was kind of disappointing that he wasn't healthy enough to go, or maybe they wanted to give him some time. And sometimes you pressure a horse so much in the summer that they're just not ready to go Breeders' Cup time. But he was really a top sprinter, maybe a top 2 or 3 sprinter in the country this last year. So the fact that Manicat Road was right there against him, 2 back, freshened, right barn, 5-1, probably not leaning towards keying him, but he's definitely a contender in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Steve, I wanted to give you a chance to talk about number four because this is a horse you scored with in a previous play. He obviously is in deeper waters today. What do you think about Speedy Wilson?
Yeah, boy, oh boy, we only got 9-5, and this was this was a very typical problem at Del Mar's when you really like a 5 or 6-1 shot. And folks, I'm telling you, I mean, I had this horse in a pick 4, I think, last time, but by the time they got to the race and he was only 9-5, I was very, very disappointed. But he did get the job done. Jay, I got to be honest with you, I thought that was a completely different level of horse that he faced last time. And although this horse is getting very good, I think he's up against it in here, 15-1 and all. Not even on the bottom of the super and try for me. I just think the Baffert horses are too tough, and I'm going to leave some of these good Baffert horses out. But Speedy Wilson's not in my top 3 here.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a nice run against, anywhere from maidens to optional claimers to winning a couple of stakes in that run. The only place he really finished up the track was going a mile. Obviously, this one has no interest in going 2 turns. It's kind of like, hey, you only pay me to ride 1 turn. That's enough. I'm quitting. So, Speedy Wilson, yeah, I think he's, out of this one. I think he's going to be a pace factor for a little while, but he's not really an on-pace horse. He's more like a presser. I have a feeling this one's not going to make the lead at any point. Again, this is like maybe a super high 5 horse. I mean, he certainly likes the Santa Anita track. He's 1 for 1 here, so that's a factor in his favor, breaking his maiden. But yeah, I mean, I think these horses are just too accomplished. And before we move on to the next one, I just wanted to report that indeed, Tapan Street did win his comeback race over at Gulfstream Park. I'll just read you the little blurb here. Let's see. Last seen upsetting Sovereignty in the $1 million Florida Derby. Returned to the Gulfstream Winner's Circle Friday after a workmanlike triumph in the 1 mile optional claiming allowance feature race. So, Steve, I got to tell you, just to diverge from this race for a minute, after Nysos, I think Tapan Street may be competitive with anybody else as far as older horses in the country because most of the rest of the crop has retired, and we probably won't see Forever Young, who is staying in training as well, but we probably won't see him until next year's Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, I mean, it's wide open to start looking for the top horses to me. Very, very wide open. At Tapan Street, obviously, He beats Sovereignty. Then something goes amiss, and then he came off of that same layoff that we just talked about earlier. I mean, that was almost like he come back as a first-time 4-year-old where these horses mature. I haven't watched the race. I got to watch. I got to go back and watch the race. I will do that. But this is certainly a horse that we want to keep our eyes on because we already knew he was a good horse as it was. He was your Derby pick, and unfortunately, he didn't get to show you what he could do that day with some sort of a minor injury. But he looks like he could be on the right track, and is certainly a horse we want to keep an eye on.
Yeah. So let's move on to number 5, another Bob Baffert horse. Not a surprise. Bob usually has multiple entries in the Malibu, and we're going to look at Midland Money. And this was kind of a very interesting horse. Front running wins under Hernandez and Pratt. His first 2 races, and Hernandez, his regular rider, is back today. And then also tried his usual style in the Grade 1 Howard Jerkins, which is one of the better sprints out in the East Coast at Saratoga. And just folded like a house of cards at the end against that better company, which of course included Patch Adams and today's morning line favorite Barnes. It seemed like trying to just taking that speed and just clearing away and daring it to catch him kind of had its limits when you hit the Grade 1 competition. So Bob brought him back out here after a freshening, a couple of these optional claiming slash allowance condition races, and a couple of strong seconds, but they decided to change tactics and went from a front running style to an early pressing style, and in the last one, a deep pressing style, where came from last place and then moved up. I don't know if that was intended for him to drop that far back. Maybe it was. Maybe he just didn't go off for a good start. But Midland Monday at 7-2. I like the horse, but I've got to say, at 7-2. It seems like the value is better on some of the others. You certainly can't throw him out. He's a contender in this race, but I'm looking elsewhere with my money, Steve. How about you?
Yeah, I would actually try to beat him in here. I've never been a huge Elwood Blues fan. Lost to this one, and then he beat Bartoldi in that race. But then Bartoldi came back and hammered him last time, got the lead, and was never losing that race. In fact, I remember that race because I really felt stupid after the race because that was a value horse that I just felt like I missed. And going back over the race, I was like, man, this was a good day to play Bartoldi, but that's neither here nor there. The blinkers do go back on. I think we'll see this one more forwardly placed. I think 7-2 is too short. He's not in my top 3. Horse I'm going to try to beat.
Yeah, same here, Steve. Number 6, Berlin Wall. That was certainly a nice optional claiming win last time. How does he fare today?
Yeah, I hate seeing horses with these big wins at a level that they're trying to get past. When you see a horse stuck at the same level, and all of a sudden they explode and win one. The horses that he's been beating or that he's been running against, the Piper's Causeways of the world, the Kerry Golds of the world, they're in a completely different league. I like Tiago. I think horses run well for him. Knapp has certainly become a much better trainer than he was a dozen years ago or so. But I don't see anything to really like about Berlin Wall. I don't like these horses, Jay, that are really trying to run 7 furlongs for the first time against really good horses. It just makes it tough. It's a tough distance. I don't see a pace edge in here. Berlin Wall's a toss for me.
Well, I will say this, Steve. He certainly is in fine form. Anytime you beat any, thing, better than like a low-level claimer by 7 3/4 lengths, you're on the muscle and you're ready to go. Berlin Wall would not surprise me to like maybe hit the 4th slot of the Superfecta, something like that. He's not a complete toss as far as hitting the board. As far as would I play him on the win end? When I finally formulate my ticket for tomorrow and decide who I'm going to play, and if this race turns out that I put in, say, 5 or 6 horses, could he be, say, the 7th horse? Because, well, maybe he just could just shock everybody. It's not out of the question, but he won't be in my top 3 today, I'll tell you that.
Hmm.
And another horse that will not be in my top 3 is Smooth Cruisin', another 30-1 horse, trained by Karen Headley. And this one has certainly faced some classy competition, kind of like Atsilla in the American Oaks, has been facing a lot of graded competition, and hasn't been doing very well against it. Generally speaking, 5, 6, 8 lengths back against some of these better horses like Journalism, like Barnes, who runs today, like Nysos, like Lovesick Blues. So this one's been facing some really top quality competition, and certainly has been running against classier competition than many of these in here. Um, I'll say that this one, might be a couple of places above Spinard, but at the same time, to consider this one for anything other than I'm wheeling the fifth spot in the super high five, it would be a stretch for me.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about this horse kind of reminds me the old trainer Mel Studi that everybody loved. I used to call Mel the Nibbler because he used to love to find horses that he could run in these big field grade one, grade two races, or these short field grade one, grade two races, and he would nibble at the purses. And that's what this horse has done. I mean, look at the number of horses this horse has run against the first four races. Jay, there were only five horses then. It was a four-horse field, then nine, then three. And I mean, this horse has never really been competitive. Too slow for me. I complete toss.
Okay. Is number 8 Cornucopian on your radar? You get Flavian Pratt for this one.
Yeah, I think this is the winner of the race, Jay. I wish I had a bigger price for this race. I like to go after it with a price horse, but if you'll remember, this horse had a lot of steam on him. He went back to the Arkansas Derby. He was 4-5 in that race. Didn't really turn out to be the greatest field in the world. Cole Battle did come back and win another race there. Publisher Sandman was overbet in the Derby and was a horse that you and I didn't like in there, and he never really has materialized. But that was an incredible speed duel in that race. I mean, this horse just went head and head, just hammered every step of the way, and then he goes off at 1-9 and he gets beat in a 3-horse race at Aqueduct. I just feel like they're going to regroup with this horse and he's going to come out and run great. I see a very, very consistent work pattern. And I do want to mention this as a sidebar for the card tomorrow. I've really been staring at this card for 3 or 4 days. A lot of missing works. Either it's in when I see a lot of missing works, I've seen this before. When I see a lot of missing works, I don't put work patterns as much into it. If you're a work pattern guy, I mean, I'm telling you, there must be 30, 40 horses tomorrow that have crazy looking work patterns. And I don't know if you want to be checking with your favorite clocker, whoever that might be, Bruno, maybe Andy Harrington, or maybe Toby Terrell, whoever that might be. You could check in with them. But there are some crazy, crazy missing work patterns in there tomorrow. And I've decided I'm not going to let it worry me one way or the other if a horse I like does not have the greatest work pattern, because I don't know if something was being missed, by the racing form or what have you. But that being said, Cornucopian's work pattern is terrific. And I think this guy is going to come back and show what he can do. 7-2 is okay, but I got a good amount of confidence that this guy's going to really fire big tomorrow.
Okay, Steve. I'm going to look at the other favorite. These are the top two betting choices, and I'm looking at number 9, Barnes. And I think a lot of Barnes's chances. Let's look at his career. He won his first two races in fine fettle, as they might say, debuting at Churchill Downs for Bob, and then winning the San Vicente in only his second start. Both sprint races, and then he was actually favored over Journalism in his third start in the San Felipe, and did a creditable job, basically, running to the lead and holding it till the top of the stretch and then just folding late to a better competitor, at least a better competitor going a route of distance. This one has not won at a mile and a 16th or a mile and an eighth and just got crushed in the Santa Anita Derby. I don't think he wants any part of a mile and an eighth. I mean, I think this one might get a mile or a mile and a 16th. I mean, losing to Journalism is, not really any slacker kind of race. But I do think that the race coming back against Journalism by Azo was definitely too tough against too long a distance. And since then they regrouped, they gave him a freshening, and then nice third to Patch Adams in the Howard Jerkins. That's always a competitive race. And then did not get off to a good start in the Gallant Bob. And I have to think that wasn't intentional. This one's never, finished 11 lengths back. True, it was a 6 furlong race, and he'd been going longer, but I don't think they intended to drop that far back. I just think, Tyler didn't get off to a good start, and he was just had too much to do. Came back last time in the Perryville and just won for fun, airing by 8 1/4 lengths over a decent Grade 3 field, and I think he's right there. I think the two Bafferts are going to put down a very interesting race going forward here, and they're both going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, the Perryville to me wasn't that great of a race on tape. It's pretty slow time. They didn't come home all that fast. This guy had already won the race. It was kind of over by then, but I wasn't totally enthralled by that race. He's a short price. I don't have him in my top three, but he could certainly win the race. I've got him on the borderline in here. I've got two horses that I definitely like more than him, and he's probably my fourth horse in the race. I was debating on whether I'm putting him third or fourth. I mean, I can see everything you see in this horse. Looks like his work pattern is terrific. He's drawn perfectly. Jose coming here to ride him is certainly a plus. But I'm going to try to beat Barnes in here today.
Okay, Steve, and we have one last Baffert. There's enough of them here, isn't there? They should probably rename this the Bob Baffert Malibu.
Jeez.
But goal oriented by the end of the year, a lot of people said goal oriented was his best 3-year-old by the end of the year. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm sure you're going to tell us.
Well, he got run over by Baeza, and then he didn't really fire at all in the Breeders' Cup. I like the little layoff for him, and I like the draw for him and the freshening. I think he's gonna, he's one of the ones to me. He's right there with Barnes. So I'm gonna say he's a contender in here. I just don't think he's the winner.
Got it. Okay, Steve, it's top three time, and since I'm in the host seat, I'll be a gentleman. You get to go first.
All right. Pretty solid in here on my top horse. The other three are very close together. I will tell you that. So let's just say I'm gonna say, because we can do that because it's our show, Jay. I'm gonna say 3, 9, and 10 all for second and third. I know that sounds crazy, but there's just no separation for me. I like Cornucopian to win this race. I like the 8. I had it listed on here 8, 10, 3, 9, but really that's inconsequential. 3, 9, and 10 look very similar to me. I think they're all three going to run. It looks like Baffert's race to win or lose. I don't see anybody else in here, but I think Cornucopian shows up tomorrow and I think wins this race. So that's what I'll say. I'll say it's a strong horse for me in the late pick 3, pick 4s tomorrow. I would single this horse on one ticket and then maybe come back and use all 4 on a second if you feel stronger about another race. But to me, I think the 8 Cornucopian is the right horse tomorrow.
Okay, Steve. I am also going all Baffert, but not quite the same Bafferts you're going for. So my number 3 horse is going to be goal oriented, who a lot of people thought was going to do very well in the dirt mile, and of course. Nysos kind of handed him his lunch, as did Citizen Bull, who I had written off. Steve, you liked Citizen Bull a lot, and yeah, that paid off for you in the dirt mile. I thought Citizen Bull had been well past his peak, but he easily beat goal oriented. But hey, Citizen Bull's not in here. Nysos isn't in here. So I'm just looking at the competition they're facing, and I think goal oriented is going to get back on stride against a field that doesn't have like a couple of the best horses in the country. Goal oriented is my number 3 pick. My number 2 pick is going to be number 3, Madaket Road under Rad Ortiz. And Madaket Road does not have quite the figures that some of these other Bafferts and other horses in here have. Nevertheless, he's just as consistent as clockwork. He's always right there. He's the kind of horse you want to have in a trifecta type wager or a superfecta type wager. I think his chance of hitting the board are strong, especially with a Rada board. Madaket Road is my second. But yeah, my number 1 horse here is Barnes. I'm going to try to knock out Cornucopian completely because he's 7-2, and I'd rather not have the second choice in my wagering. You got to try to beat somebody in here, and I'm going to try to beat Cornucopian, even though I might not. Barnes is just in fine form, just relaxed in the Perryville at this distance, and just exhaled and blew away that field. Okay, maybe it wasn't certainly as strong a field as we have today, but it was a decent grade 3 field. The second horse, Captain Creek. I can't remember, but I know I've actually followed that horse, Captain Cook, excuse me.
It's
And
Captain
Captain
Cook.
Cook was just a nose behind Patch Adams, and he's a decent horse. So blowing away Captain Cook by 8 1/4, that says something to me. Also, by Barnes really loves this distance. This is his distance. He's 3 for 7 lifetime, but he's 2 for 3 going 7 furlongs and a third. So yeah, I just think in this very, very sharp form that Barnes is in, I think he's going to take some beating, and I don't think he's going to any way blow this field away by 8 1/4. But I do like him on top.
I hear you. I can't argue with anything you said. It looks like we both think Baffert's going to dominate this race. That's a shame. It's really become his show. Unfortunately, we don't have a real good Mandela or Sadler in here to maybe challenge. It really looks like he's going to be tough, but we're on a little bit different horses. And again, it's kind of funny, and not by any intention. I didn't have your horse in my original top three, but I could certainly see Barnes winning. And I think you're in the same boat with Cornucopia and don't have him in your top three. I don't know if you think he can win at all. I do happen to think this horse is going to be the winner, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to be right. Not a great betting race for me, Jay, on a card that's got a lot of great betting races.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be a very competitive race, and yeah, I absolutely do think Cornucopian can win, and I think Flavian Pratt getting aboard has a lot to do with that. Flavian and Bob they're terrific together. They're 50% wins. So, and with obviously with 4 Bafferts in the race, Flavian probably could have had another one if he preferred it. So, I do think Cornucopian has a shot. I'm just going to try to knock him off. And as I think the same is probably true for you. I mean, even though I know you give Barnes a shot, I think it would definitely be to your preference in your exotic wagers if Barnes managed to not hit the board at all.
Yeah, probably not playing a try in this race. And I generally like to play a try, keying a horse when I like a horse at a little bit better price than what I would get on Cornucopian. What I would do in here, again, I've got 3, 8, 9, 10 marked as my 4 horses. So what I probably will do on one ticket is I will single Cornucopian on one ticket, and then I'll come back on the next ticket and use 3, 8, 9, 10 on a second ticket. So I'll have one on one spot, 4 on the other. But I haven't finished the other races, so I don't know that is actually what I'm going to do. But I certainly, when I'm looking through these races, I'm also thinking, how would I bet this race? And that's what I have marked. Again, not completely finishing all the other races, which I will do here as soon as we're done. But and that'll be out. Tomorrow's a really good card. I've got 4 or 5 A marks for me. And that's a really good thing. And I'm sure you do too, Jay. It's a really, really good card. I know most of you have probably not played this whole month of December and should be raring to go. And especially we're really chomping at the bit with December 26th being taken off the plate. So I think a lot of people are chomping at the bit and ready to go. And again, I think this is a very good betting card.
Yeah, absolutely. And Steve, before we go, of course, we each have a race to give out from that great card on Sunday. And which one are you going to go with again, Steve? I can't
I'm gonna go
remember.
with race number 7.
Okay, take it away.
Yeah, down the hill in here. I like the 7 horse in here, Yaukalef, as a possible upsetter. It's 8-1 in the morning line. You're getting Barrios. I really like the fact that Mullins claimed this one last time. He's coming back for the same price as he was at the same level. And he ran a mile last time, but if you really look at this guy's racing, his form, his Santa Anita races have been terrific. And the races that have been best for him have been at this type of distance, either on the flat at 6 furlongs, that Del Mar 5 furlong race. Gosh, when you don't get off to a good start or you draw the 11 hole like he did, I think that race is a toss. He came back next out, actually ran a good race to Spycatcher in Kansas City, or Kansas Cat. And again, last time out, I'm not going to hold that race against him. I'm sure a lot of people will, but I do like the barn change. I like the little bit of freshening. Mullins has been terrific. I think Yaukalef has a heck of a shot in here at 8-1. I am going to play him to win, and we'll use the 3-horse Winning Patriot in the exotics. I'm going to try to beat the rail horse in here, Amner Hall, just simply because he's on the rail. But I will use the 3-horse in here. And then my other horse in here is another little bit of a price horse in here is the 12-horse Katona. And I will tell you, I did watch the tape on Katona's only turf race. It was on the flat, And I'll tell you, he was really running late. He did not hit the board in that race. I think he finished sixth, but boy, was he galloping out strongly. He's fresh and he could be a danger in here. You know, I like Tiago Pereira on the outside. Horses really run for him. Katona has got some turf breeding in there. And again, I think that one turf race could be a little buried. So I'm going to use that horse as well. So for me, two exacta boxes in here, 7 and 3. It was a horse that's on the improve that should really like this distance, and 7 and 12. But a win bet here on the 7, Yaukalef.
Yeah, that one certainly likes this Santa Anita course. And yeah, I was actually looking at the other one you mentioned, Katona myself. This one has been facing by far the best class of races in the field. Multiple grade one attempts. Didn't win any of them, but he's got that competition in his background. And I really like that angle you mentioned, Steve. Because basically he only has the one turf race, and they waited until that one turf race was off the board, and now they're running him back on the turf. So you don't really have an easy way, unless you have access to lifetime stats, to examine that race. I always kind of like that angle, and I always thought it was kind of a sneaky good angle when they do that. So yeah, I like your picks here.
Yeah, it's a sneaky pick. Could be a big price. And the one thing I really like that outside post when you have a little more tactical speed than he does, and that doesn't mean that he can't win this race, but I just wish he was a little bit more tactical. If that was the case, I might have put him on top being a higher price, but I'm a little bit worried that you get a little too far behind, and if you're not up closer when they cross that dirt, and you lose too much ground on the wide out there, it really could flatten you out a little bit when you try to make that close. But that would be the negative for me, that he's in the 12 hole. I kind of wish he was drawn like 5, 6, or 7, and it would actually prefer him to be 1 or 2 in here than be in the 12 without having any speed. But I still think this horse is going to run good tomorrow.
Yeah, so do I. Looking forward to that race. That'll be one I've got a couple of bucks on. And I'm going to give out number 4 to close out the race number 4 to close out the show here. And I'm going to try to knock off Rizzleberry Rose. And one of the things that attracted me to this race is in my own personal handicapping, Rizzleberry Rose, the favorite, did not figure. I didn't really think he could win the race. He's favored, I think, in large part because it's Juan Hernandez. He's the perennial leading jock here, with Flavian spending the winter mostly in New York. Enjoy seeing Flavian if you're a fan of his while you can on Sunday, because probably be a while till the next one. But Rizzleberry Road's figures just, are very meh. They're just mediocre. Did win his one race over Santa Anita. But other than that, there's nothing really that impresses me. And I think the line maker made this one the favorite purely on the strength of Juan Hernandez riding. The one I like, Steve, is near the bottom, and that's number 13, Wish They All Could Be. And generally, you get a little squeamish from the 13 post, but despite the fact that you don't have any wins showing from the 13 post, I never have a problem with that in a sprint race, especially 6.5 or 7 furlong. 6 is like, I'm not as really enthusiastic, but I have to say there, considering the short fields we've had, there have probably been very, very few, if any, races at that last meet that where the starter, the winner, came out of the 13. There were probably, these days, if you get 8 horses, you're lucky. So Wish They Could Be is a horse that has decent tactical speed, is not going to go to the front, but will sit patiently. You get Mirko de Muro back, and Mirko just had a huge Del Mar. I
Sure
mean,
did.
yeah, I mean, he was, I think, over 30% for the meet, and at one point he was like over 40%. And if you look at the numbers on this one, the Brisnet numbers, look at the last 6 races. 4 of them were 90 plus bris figures. So this one has been facing tougher competition, has been facing these optional $40,000 claimers slash allowance conditions, and he has not been up for claim. Today, they put him up for claim for the first time, or her, excuse me, and I just think, this $20,000 competition will be much more to her liking. Love Mirko getting back on. I think he's still got some of those hot embers from Delma already, and liking number 13. Wish they all could be to take this race, and I think there's a good trifecta, good exacta and trifecta bets to have here. I'm going to give out an exacta this time because we're back to $1, and I'm just going to do that a little bit differently. But I'll actually give out a brief trifecta as well. But wish they all could be on top here. And I'm going to play this one with four horses. We'll use, let's go back here. We're going to use number 2, Rizzleberry Rose. I can't leave Hernandez out, but hoping to beat her. We're looking at number 3, Miss Practical. Just broker maiden at a nice 87 brisk figure over this track under Hector Barrios. I think Miss Practical definitely figures. We'll use number 9, Cayucos, a big long shot from Richard Mandela and Antonio Frizu. This one, ran in the generous portion, got some stakes money in the generous portion, has not liked the turf. They tried that experiment on the turf, and I will say Omaha Beach is a superior turf sire. So, and Warfront, of course, is one of the best turf sires. So certainly you understand why they would try Cayucos on the turf, but this one apparently took after mom. This the damn My Due Process was out of Henny Hughes, who was best on the dirt. So they are bringing Cayucos back. I'm looking for a form reversal on Cayucos. And then finally, number 12, Diva Cat. This is the Arad Ortiz horse, has had 2 strong races. Arad and Mark Latt. Mark Latt does nothing but win at every meet. And I'm looking for Mark to have another strong meet because he's one of the best trainers on this circuit. So, Steve, I'm going to play it like so, and I don't have the trifecta added on, but I'm going to add the trifecta that I'm giving out onto my card as soon as the show is over. So it's going to be a $1 exacta, 13 with all. $1 exacta will play a bonus ticket for another $4 or $40, depending on what your scale is. Not all of our winners, our listeners and viewers play the minimum, but I always give out the minimum, and then you can build on that. So 13 with all, 13 with 2, 3, 9, 12. We're going to reverse that one, 2, 3, 9, 12 with number 13, Wish They All Could Be. And then we'll play a small trifecta key, which I'm going to add on to the ticket within the next 30 minutes. 13 with 2, 3, 9, 12 with 2, 3, 9, 12. Nice win bet on number 13, Wish They All Could Be.
Yeah, 2 things I really like about this horse, Jay. And the first one basically is that this horse is back in against Calbreds, and she's been running against Open Company and actually been very, very solid. And then the second thing is that last running line where she gets beat by 10. I mean, that's really her first bad race. I think these horses that have one bad race in their PPs, especially coming off a little bit of a layoff like she did, she'll bounce back. I think for sure, and run her better race. So hopefully you can get a little better price. Maybe she sneaks up a little bit, 6 or 7 to 1. But a couple of things to really like about her: she's been dominant against Calbreds, and she's getting them today. And again, coming off of that one bad running line, I'm not going to worry too much about that. I think you got a heck of a shot in here with a very, very solid. DeMarco was riding good on both surfaces and very ground saving. You could tell that that's in his mind, and I think he'll try to get this horse some position. She's tactical, and I think she'll move over by the time they hit the turn. I think that's important.
Absolutely. Well, Steve, should be a great card on Monday, and just we'll touch on what's going on for the next one. Next time we'll be out here, we're going to be covering the Pegasus Stakes. And Steve, this is possible that the Pegasus could have what I would consider the best 3 older horses in the country right now until they get some races under their belt. We know White Barrio is pointing for the Pegasus, and Tappan Street is based at Gulfstream, so it certainly makes sense that he would be pointing for it. And I know that one of the reasons they're trying to bring Nysos back this year is they're going to try to stretch him out. And I think a 1.125 will be the next step. So if Nysos comes out of today's Laffit Pincay in good form, I think you could see all 3 of them in that Pegasus. I think it'd be a huge race.
Yeah, let's hope for that for sure, and certainly these are some of these 3-year-olds that maybe didn't materialize in the Breeders' Cup or didn't make it into the Breeders' Cup could certainly be improving by then. And there'll be a lot of good angles for that race. And it's become a really, really good card. The turf race there is always a really good race. The race before the Pegasus, or the Pegasus Turf, I guess is what they call it. So those are a very, very good day of racing, and we're going to cover that. And but we're excited about this opening day card. Jay, looks like a really good card to me. I think we're going to have some fun tomorrow.
Yeah, no question about it. It's nice seeing these deep fields. That has been an issue, and that's not an issue tomorrow. You've got plenty of value in almost every race, and you've got a big field in almost every race. So, really looking forward to it. And I think Santa Anita made the right decision to go on. The sun's already out. I think the rain is already done for the weekend. So, I think by the end of the day, anyway, you'll be fast and firm, though you might be, as you mentioned, fast and good at the beginning. So, watch those early races, see, like you said, how the horses perform over it, what the running styles are like, and, just kind of, incorporate that into your handicapping. And hopefully that will bring you a little measure of success.
Absolutely. Agree wholeheartedly with that.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you back soon. The Pegasus isn't that far away, and I know we're going to cover the Big Cap and the Santa Anita Derby as well throughout the Derby Trail, and we'll take a look and see what the cards look like for some of the other big prep days, like the Florida Derby and the Arkansas Derby. They're both grade ones. We'll definitely be doing a number of days during the Derby Trail, and looking forward to getting off to another great year.
Yeah, we want to wish everybody a happy new year. Great time to restart, recharge your batteries, like we have done, and now we're ready to start, and it kind of feels like the new year already. And let's get it going, start it in the right direction, Jay.
All right, Steve. Happy New Year to you as well.
Yeah, happy new year.
All right. And we'll see you next time.